All right, let's go to our number 3 spot, and we mentioned them already a few minutes ago, but I think that there's a good chance that all three of us have the New York Rangers in the number 3 spot. So, Case, let's talk about the Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, I already mentioned that they're the other third team, in my opinion, that could win this division. I do have them as the third best of those three. They made some offseason adds, but they also lost Kane and Tarasenko. So I think they just made kind of horizontal movement when it came to the offseason. And I think that when I look at this team, the offense is as good as it always is. Once again, they're going to be looking for the young guys to step up, but they still have their studs in their Kreider and Zibanejad and Panarin. So, not much has changed up front, and hopefully Lafreniere, Capo Caco, Hedl, all these guys continue to get better and add to the goal scoring for them. When I look at the D-core, I already like them more than I did last year, just because they've grown on me, I guess. There's not much change here, just Gustafsson coming in, but when I look at the back end, it's 6 guys, maybe 5 guys that you're really keeping your head up when you're out there. Trouba is going to be trying to take your noggin off with an elbow for sure. Let's see how many times he gets suspended this year. Ryan Lindgren plays with snarl as well. K'Andre Miller is also going to step up and take hits, and Schneider is kind of like a Cronwall out there in the way that he throws his body around. And then there's Adam Fox. You got to keep your head up because he's going to pickpocket you, go the other way, and score in a breakaway. So I really like their D-core. One of their stronger assets for sure, but let's face it, we all know the biggest strength of this team is in net, and Shesterkin can just steal so many games for them. And he had an off season last year, and he was still one of the best goalies in the league. So I don't have to say too much more about the Rangers. Plus, I'm holding back a gag right now talking about them. So I'll go ahead and pass it on to Chad to continue to talk good about the Rangers.
Yeah, so I also have the Rangers at number 3. This is shocking, by the way. I feel like this may be the only division where 1, 2, and 3, we are all aligned, which is kind of crazy. But just based off last year's standings, it's not like we're just repeating the same thing because we swap 1 and 2. So I think it'll get more interesting 4 through 8. But for number 3, staying with the Rangers, I like their forward group. Like Casey said, it's going to be just as good. You don't have a Patrick Kane or Vlad Tarasenko. Saying that 5 years ago would have meant a lot more. Both of those players are still pretty good, but you're not as bummed not to have them going into this year. You added a Blake Wheeler for an incredible deal, by the way, just at around $800K. So, or exactly $800K. So yeah. That's a solid deal. He adds to the forward group. And speaking of the younger players as well, the guys like Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere, you guys both know I believe in both of those guys. Even still, last season, they were both about half a point per game. They both played almost exactly 15 minutes a night, and that was with the additions of Tarasenko and Kane. So I'm wondering if this year they play a little bit more and get a little bit more opportunity, and they're able to score, not at crazy paces. I don't expect either of them to be a point per game player because I still think they're going to be middle 6 players, especially on that kid line with Philip Hedl as well. But I think we just kind of have to accept the fact that as middle 6 players, they're going to be pretty good in chipping in secondary offense. So I really like how this team is structured up front, and then on the back end case.
Quick, Chad. I believe in Lafreniere more so, and I think he still has just some incredible upside. But I got to say, he was on a milk carton in the playoffs, and you don't want to see that side of him again. I would like to look back to the regular season when he was making an impact, especially late in the year. So
yeah. Yeah, and like you say, down the stretch he was pretty good. Him and Kako, like, I've come to the conclusion that they're not going to be superstars because they're just not going to be given the opportunity. Unfortunately, they're playing behind a pretty good top 6. And, I've been saying for years, if they just played more, they would have better results. That may still be the case. But if they play, 16, 17 minutes a night, an extra minute or two from last year, I could see them both putting up 50, maybe even 60 points if they have a good season. So I'm looking forward to that. I think the forward group is really well structured. And then on the back end, like you mentioned, they have a lot of guys who play the game hard and also move the puck really well. Speaking mostly of guys like Adam Fox and Braden Schneider. So I really like this group. I think Gustafsson will add some offense to that group as well, which is a bit of an underrated ad. I don't think many people are talking about it. Gustafsson had a really good year last year in Washington. And then when he came to the Maple Leafs, he sort of got buried because he is a bit mistake prone, but it's one of those things, like if he fits in a system, he will succeed. And I think he could fit in this system. And then just quickly, goaltending, you have no worries there with Shesterkin and Jonathan Quick backing him up this season. Even though Quick wasn't great last year, I think the expectations were too high for him. And now solidifying himself as a backup going into this season and not having any expectations to be anything more than that, I think is perfect. And oh yeah, by the way, he got another Stanley Cup. So I think this team is extremely well built top to bottom, and third in the division just seems right to me. Not because I don't think this team is good, I just think the two above this team are just that much better.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm going to keep it short and sweet on the Rangers because you guys both kind of said it all. And just going to this roster, and you're looking at it top to bottom. All of a sudden, this has turned into an older group. You know, there are a lot of veterans on this team, and you look at a couple of ads they made this summer that you could look at the ads of Blake Wheeler and Erik Gustafsson and their price tags and say that they were a few of the best bargains of the offseason. I absolutely think that Erik Gustafsson is going to fit in well with this team and be able to put up some points, because guess who's the head coach? Peter Laviolette, who he had in Washington, where he had a lot of success and played really well and fit in really well under him before he got shipped off to the Maple Leafs at the deadline. So that's what I kind of wanted to focus on, since you guys really touched on everything else. Is that I think that Laviolette is the perfect coach for this team. And if you look at his track record, he's been able to come in and make an impact right away. And I could see, I could see this team as well, going to the Stanley Cup Finals in the first year that he takes over behind the bench, because he has that track record of coming in, making impact, turning things around right away, and having that team success. So they're a contender for sure. Third spot in this division definitely seems right. Final Four appearance in 21-22. I think we're going to see a motivated group after losing the Battle of the Hudson there in round one to your Devils case. And the one player I'm going to be watching for when it comes to, that motivation and that fire coming into this season after that first round exit. Not a great playoffs for him, as well as Artemi Panarin. He's got 3 years left on his deal, one of the highest paid players in the league, and kind of disappeared on a lot of nights in that first round series against the Devils. So going to be watching out for him. But yeah, the Rangers are for real, and they're right in the mix when it comes to contenders.